So for this first question, we have that there are 1,000 students in the school, 580 of the students are girls, the rest are boys. 3/10 of the girls are left-handed, and 2/7 of the boys are left-handed. We need to work out the total of left-handed students in the school. So let's start with the girls. We're told that 3/10 of the girls are left-handed. So to figure out the actual number of left-handed girls, we need to do 3/10 of the amount of girls there are in the school, which we're told in the question is 580. So if we're allowed to use a calculator, we can actually just type this in, because we can replace the of for multiplication. So 3/10 of 580 is the same as doing 3/10 multiplied by 580. But we're going to figure this out as if we didn't have a calculator. So there's two stages to solving our fraction of an amount question. We start with our 580, and then the first step is we always divide by the denominator, and that gives us our unit fraction. And then step 2, we're going to multiply by the numerator. So for our first step, we're going to do 580, and we're going to divide by the denominator, so divide by 10. Well, if we do 580 divided by 10, that's going to give us 58. We then take that 58, and our second step is we multiply by the numerator. So we need to multiply by 3. So if we do 58 multiplied by 3, that's going to give us 174. Because what we've essentially done there is find 1/10 of 580, which was just 58, and then we've multiplied that by 3 to give us 3/10. So there are 174 girls in the school that are left-handed. We now need to do a similar thing for the boys. We know that 2/7 of the boys are left-handed, but we're not told how many boys there are. However, we can simply figure this out because we're told in the question that there are 1,000 students in the school. So if 580 of them are girls, we simply have to take that 580 away from the 1,000 to figure out how many boys there are. So if we do that 1,000 and we take away 580, that's going to leave us with 420. So there are 420 boys in total. So we're trying to figure out 2/7 of 420. And then again, we're going to follow our two steps. We're going to take our 420, and for the first step, we're going to divide by the denominator. So we're dividing by 7. Well, if we do 420 divided by 7, that's going to give us 60. We then take that 60 and we multiply it by the numerator, which in this question is 2. So 60 multiplied by 2 is 120. So 120 boys are left-handed. So we've got there are 174 girls that are left-handed, 120 boys that are left-handed. So for our final step, we just want to add these two numbers together. So if we do 174, add our 120, that's going to give us 294. So there are 294 students in total that are left-handed. Okay, let's take a look at this next example. So here we have that the price of a normal train ticket from Canterbury to London is £35.10. Jim gets 1/3 off the price of his train ticket. Work out how much Jim has to pay for his ticket. We've got another fraction of an amount question here. We need to do 1/3 of this £35.10. So we're going to follow our two steps here. The first step is we're going to take our £35.10 and we're going to divide that by the denominator. We're going to divide by 3. So if we do that off to the side, we've got £35.10, which we're dividing by 3. So 3 will go into 3 one time. We've then got 3 will fit into 5 once, because 3 times 1 is 3, leaving with us a remainder of 2. So I'm going to carry that over to my next digit. We then want to see how many times does 3 fit into 21. Well, that'll fit 7 times exactly. So then 3 is into 0 will go 0. So 35.10 divided by 3 is 11.70, or in pounds, £11.70. And then for step 2, we'd multiply by the numerator, but because we've got a unit fraction here, this isn't going to change. We'll be multiplying by 1, so we're going to have the same answer. So Jim is going to get £11.70 off the usual price of a train ticket. So now we need to figure out how much he's actually going to pay. So all we need to do now is take the normal price of a train ticket, which is £35.10, and we're going to take away this £11.70. So to begin with, we've got 0 take away 0, which is 0. We've then got 1 take away 7. So because that'll give us a negative number, we're going to borrow from the column to the left. So I'm going to borrow 1 from this 5, so it becomes 4. And I'm going to bring over a 1, so I now have 11. So if we do 11 take away 7, that's going to give us 4. We've then got 4 take away 1, which is 3. And then finally, we've got 3 take away 1, which is 2. So Jim is going to have to pay £23.40 for his train ticket. Okay, let's take a look at one more example. So for this last question, we have that Linda has an income of £2,400 a month. She spends 2/5 of her income on her mortgage. She spends 3/20 of her income on bills. She spends 1/10 of her income on food. Linda saves the rest of her income. How much does Linda save each month? So let's start with this first bit. She spends 2/5 of her income on her mortgage. So we've got to figure out 2/5 of 2,400. So we're following our 2 steps again. The first step is we start with this 2,400 and we're going to divide by the denominator. So we're dividing by 5. A useful tip here is whenever we're dividing by 5, we can divide by 10 and then double it. So if I divide 2,400 by 10, that's going to give me 240. So then all I've got to do is double it. So if I do 240 times by 2, that's going to give me 480. So now we've got to take that 480 and multiply it by the numerator, which in this question was 2. So we've got to do 480 times by 2, well, that would be 960. So Linda is going to spend £960 on her mortgage. Then looking at the next calculation, we've got 3/20 of her income is spent on bills. So we've got to do 3/20. It says of her income. So it's 3/20 of this 2,400 again. So again, we follow our 2-step process here. We're going to start with our 2,400. And we are dividing by the denominator. So we're dividing by 20. So if we do 2,400 divided by 20, that's going to give us 120. We then take that 120 and multiply by the numerator. So multiplying by 3 is going to give us 360. So Linda is going to spend £360 on her bills. And then finally, we have that she spends 1/10 of her income on food. So we're doing 1/10 of her income again. So it's going to be of this 2,400. So again, we follow our 2-step process. We divide by the denominator to begin with. So we start with 2,400. We then divide by 10. Well, that's going to give us 240. But we actually had a unit fraction here. We've got 1 on the numerator. So for my next step, I'd just be multiplying by 1, so that's going to remain the same. So Linda will be spending £240 a month on food. So now looking at our numbers here, she spends £960 on her mortgage, £360 on bills, and £240 on food. We now need to add all of these numbers together. So we've got 960, 360, and 240. So to begin with, we've got 0 add 0 add 0, which is 0. 6 add 6 is 12. Add on 4 is 16. So we're going to have a 6 here and carry over a 1 to our next column. We've then got 9 add 3, which is 12. Add on 2 is 14. Add on the one we've just carried is 15. So we'd have 1,560. So each month, Linda is spending £1,560. So to figure out how much she's saving each month, we have to take this away from her monthly income of £2,400. So for the last step here, we're just going to do 2,400, and we're going to take away this 1,560. So if we do 0 take away 0, that's going to give us 0. We've then got 0 take away 6, well, that'll give us a negative number. So I'm going to borrow 1 from this 4, so that then becomes 3. And I carry that 1 over to this column. So I've now got 10 take away 6, which is 4. I've then got 3 take away 5, which again would give me a negative number. So I'm going to borrow from 1 from the column on the left. So 2 would become 1. And then I carry that 1 over to the column next to it. So I now need to do 13 take away 5, which is going to give me 8. And then we'd have 1 take away 1, which is going to give us 0. So our final answer here would be 840. Linda is going to be able to save £840 per month. And that would be our final answer to this question. So well done if you followed along with those questions. And that's it for this video. If you want to check out any other videos relevant to this one, then I'll leave some links for them down in the description, and I'll also put a card in the top corner. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please feel free to leave a like and consider subscribing. If there are any other topics at all that you'd like me to go through next, then please just let me know down in the comments, and I'll try to make some videos on those topics as soon as possible. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.